Sup lads, welcome back to another vignette. Today is a big one, my championship predictions for the upcoming 2021-22 season. It's a very exciting one, a very open league, as we know the championship, like every season. You've got your surprise teams like Barnsley last year. Who's going to be the surprise team this year? It's just a very open division overall. Anyone can go up, anyone can go down. So yeah, we're going to get straight into it. 24th place, it won't surprise you to see I have Derby County. It's all going wrong there, isn't it? It's just sad to see because, I think they have 9 first team fit players for the first game on Saturday. I believe they play two. I think they've got 13 squad players in total. 2 are goalkeepers, 2 are injured. So it's not looking promising for them. I can't see Wayne Rooney seeing out the season at all, whether he resigns or gets sacked. I don't know, but it is quite sad to see Derby in this situation. Obviously, just a few years ago, they were in the playoff final against Villa, with Frank Lampard in charge, and it's been downhill ever since then. Stayed up by the skin of their teeth last year, and I can't see the same thing happening this year. I think they will finish rock bottom of the league. For each club, by the way, I have with like a key player, one to watch. So for my key player for Derby, I've gone for Christian Bielik, but of course he is one of the injured players for for the start of the season. Just typical, isn't it? And for one to watch, I've gone for the youngster Louis Sibley. And in terms of signing, Derby haven't signed anyone, so they're looking to bring in a few free agents, but again, I don't think they'll have the quality to keep them up. And in terms of departures, that's Scott Malone, Martin Wycon, Jack Marriott, Jordan Ibe, Curtis Davies, and Andre Wisdom have all departed the club this summer. So it's not looking good for Derby, is it? Moving on to 23rd place, I've gone for a club that was in the Premier League just a few years ago, Huddersfield Town. Now they can definitely stay up. They do have the quality on their day to stay up, but I just can't see them doing it. I think they are going destined for League One, sadly, because Huddersfield again, they were only in the Premier League a few years ago, and it has been quite a steady decline. I think it was only in 2019 when they're in the league, and potentially 2022 they might be starting in League One. Again, I've gone for key player Isaac Mbenza. I think he got a few goals and assists last year. He's one to watch out for. Another one to watch out for is Josh Koroma. If he can stay fit, I think he has the ability to keep Huddersfield in the Championship by himself. He's an incredible player when he is fit. Manager, of course, Carlos Corberano, who I believe was Marcelo Bielsa's assistant at Leeds for a few years. They've bought some good players. Levy Colwill from Chelsea on loan, Daniel Sinani from Norwich on loan. They've also bought Jordan Rhodes back, who I believe had that very, very good season for them in League One, scoring loads of goals a few years back. Key departures, lots of Christopher Schindler, Alex Pritchard have both left. I think those were both there for them in the Premier League a few years ago. Now they're no longer there. So the final relegation place in the first newly promoted team. It's a bit of a controversial one. I've gone for Hull City in 22nd place. Obviously won League One last year. They've been division apart well. George Honeyman, who I've got down as my key player, was very good for them last season, along with Keane Lewis Potter, who I've got someone I want to watch. Good youngster off the wing and can definitely score a few goals. Won some good players. George Moncur from Luton. And a few others as well. Dishon Bernard and Nathan Baxter and Ryan Longman have all been signed on loan. Key departures not been too many. So Max Clark, Reece Burke, and George Long have all left the club. But I think it'll be tight between Hull and the teams I've got in 21st, who we'll get onto in a minute. But I just think I've got a feeling Hull will just fall off a bit at the end. I think they've been downhill. I think they were literally in the playoffs in January 2020, I guess it would have been. And then they lost Bird and Grzycki, and they fell all the way down to relegation. So they just showed how much 2 players can impact a team. And I think Hull, they've got a decent team, a decent squad, but I think it will be top between these and 21st, who we'll get on to now, who I've gone for Peterborough United. I just see them squeaking ahead. A lot of people do think Peterborough will go down, but no, I've just got a feeling they'll stay up. I think the goals, if they do manage to keep hold of him, of Johnson Clark-Harris, will keep them up. Siriki Dembele is a good striker as well, who they've got. Peterborough always seem to produce good strikers. Had the likes of Ivan Toney now, already, who's now in the Premier League with Brentford. Now it's not Clark-Harris, Siriki Dembele. Good players, but I just think goals. I know the defence isn't the greatest, but I think goals from Johnson Clark-Harris will keep them up in the end. I think he'll do really good in this division. He has been linked to a move away to like to Bournemouth and West Brom as well, and Leeds. So if he does get that move away, I think Peterborough will definitely go down. But for the minute, I'm going to see them staying up. One to watch is Jack Marriott as well. They bought him from Derby on a free transfer. I think he could get a few goals. And the thing is with Derby, they're not going to sit back. They will attack this division. They will go all out to win games, which I'm looking forward to see. They brought in the likes of Jack Marriott, as I said, George Grant from Lincoln, and Josh Knight, I believe, from Leicester. Have likes of loss of Moeta, who was a good striker from last year as well. So I think Peterborough will just stay up, but it will be tight. So in 20th place, I have gone for Bristol City. Now, Bristol City, again, I think they are quite a rich club. I think they got quite a rich owner. But things haven't gone too planned for them last season. I think they finished around this place last season, 19th, 18th. Nigel Pearson in charge, the man himself. But again, I'm not confident about Bristol City this season. I think they will have enough step. They got good players. Thomas Callas and Hanno Masengo is definitely one to watch next season. A good French youngster in the midfield. They brought in like Matty James, Andy King, I believe, two former Leicester players, but quite old now. And the likes of Famara Diédhiou, probably said that really wrong, has departed as well, and he scored a lot of goals in last year. That's Henry Lansbury and Adrian Mariappa have also departed as well. So big losses for Bristol, I think, but I think they will just stay up. I think I don't know what's happened to them, because again, I think they were a good mid-table side a few years ago, but they've lost a few players, and I can see them falling off a bit to 20th. I think they're around this place last season. But again, I think they will stay around here. So I've got to go a bit quicker now. In 19th place, Preston North End. Again, this was quite sad to see. They're around the playoffs a couple of seasons ago, but they have dropped off a bit. New manager Frankie McAvoy, probably again said that wrong. Key player Alan Brown, captain. He's an Ireland international as well, so got to be decent. Want to watch Sepp van den Berg. They brought in again on loan from Liverpool. I think he's a good young defender. The new Van Dijk, as people are calling him, obviously, because he's Dutch at Liverpool and centre back. But I think Preston will fall off a bit from last season, but I think they will still have enough to stay out. They brought in Izzy Brown, who's a good signing, but I think he's out for a few months now because he got injured in training, which was poor for them, because he would have been a good player for them. I thought he definitely would have been one of their key players, but again, he'll probably be back later on in the season. Also brought in Matthew Olasunde and Liam Lindsay, so I think those will be two good players. Haven't lost too many players, Preston, only a couple key players, but again, I think they should have enough to stay up in this division. 18th place, I've gone for the last new promoted club, Blackpool. Now, you probably think this is a bit weird considering Blackpool finished the lowest out of all the newly promoted clubs. But I think Neil Critchley's a good manager. He's got good contacts, and I think they're still considering bringing in a few more loan players. And want to watch definitely for Blackpool this season, Tyrese John Jules, a young Arsenal striker they've brought in on loan. I think he could be one to watch, but also like Jerry Yates, who scored a few goals from last season. I think he'll be good for them. Brought in a few players. Richard Keogh has got good championship experience. Daniel Grimshaw, they brought in probably a backup goalkeeper from Manchester City. I think he was probably about the 7th choice goalkeeper there, to be fair. But yeah, good signings, and they bring good experience in the championship. And in terms of key departures, they have lost Sule Kaikai, I believe it was all right for them in League One last year, and Ollie Turton. So again, I think Blackpool will have enough to survive in the end. They've got a good tight-knit group, and I think that goes to count a long way in the Championship. 17th place, another team that's had a bit of a fall-off, Blackburn. Started last season off very well, and I think in terms of the players they do have the ability to kick on and push for playoffs, but I don't think the manager, Tony Mowbray, is the man to take them there. I think they need to move on and get a new manager. Obviously, that's Vadel Armstrong, loads of goals last year, and he has been linked to the like Southampton, Watford and Norwich. Still hasn't had his move away yet, though, and they're asking 20 million for him, Blackburn, but I can't see him getting that considering his contract runs out next year. And I think they were to lower their asking price. They want to get anything out of him this year. One to watch is Ben Brereton Diaz. Obviously had a very good Copa America with Chile. There's a big story behind that. If you want to go look that up after this video, feel free to. I'm going to spend too long in this video anyway. I don't have time to talk about that. But again, good player. And also Bradley Dack's one to watch. I think he just injured so much now. But, on his day, one of the best players in the Championship. But it's just a shame to see him having so many injury struggles. Key signings, Blackburn actually haven't made one signing this summer, which is interesting. And, maybe that's why they all drop off a bit. And they have lost experience. Charlie Mulgrew's gone. Stuart Downing's retired. I think that was just only announced yesterday or something. And Lewis Holtby as well has also left. So good experienced names leaving Blackburn with no one coming in. I think that will be a bit it won't be good for them, but I think they will have enough to stay up. 16th place, I've gone for Coventry. I think they're around this place last season again, and I think they are starting to establish themselves as a Championship club once again. They're only in League 2 a couple of years ago, let's not forget. Key player Gustavo Hamer, I think midfielder, he will do good for them this season. And one to watch is Martin Waghorn, who they have bought from Derby on a free transfer. I think he'll score a few goals for them. And they've also brought like Simon Moore, who'll probably be their new first choice goalkeeper from Sheffield United. Ian Martson, Ben Sheaf, Victor Gyökeres have all come in. I think those are all from Premier League teams as well. So those will be good signings for them. Obviously not first team Premier League players, but again, good. I think they're young as well, so they should be good in the Championship. Haven't lost too many players either, so I think Coventry will just be in that lower mid-table. I think they will be definitely safe from the drop this season. 15th place, I've gone for Birmingham. A lot of people saying they will push up high in the table, but obviously Birmingham have many false storms before. And I think 15th is good for them. I think I almost said they go down last season, but they didn't quite. And I didn't actually put them to get down. I think I put them just above the drop zone. But I think they will kick on. Lee Boy is a very good manager. We saw how good he was at Charlton, that's the League One and the Championship. And they've brought in a good few loan players. Dion Sanderson, Tahith Chong from Manchester United, Matthias Sarkic and Juan Familia Castillo have all come in on loan. They've also brought some like to Ryan Woods, Chukwuemeka, who I believe was on loan last season, but now's coming permanently. And Harley Dean as well, the captain's a good player, and definitely you should watch out for him. In terms of Poch, I haven't lost too many players, just a couple of the Spanish players they bought in a few years ago. But I think Lee Boy is a good manager, and I think he can take Birmingham to different heights. But I think 15th is safer now, but I definitely think they can kick on in the next few seasons. In 14th place, I've gone for Nottingham Forest, a team that was around the playoffs and really should have got playoffs a couple of years ago, but I think they absolutely bottled it on the last day, and they had like a 4-goal swing to go against them, and they lost out on the playoffs, which didn't go to plan, did it? As poor, and that clearly got to them last season. They dropped down the table. I think they finished about 17th last season, around there, and I have got them finished 14th. A lot of people think they will kick on and maybe even get playoffs. I don't see that personally. I don't think they've quite got the players. Obviously, I've got Joe Worrell and Lyle Taylor. I think will do good, and manager Chris Hughton is very good at championship level. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if I see Nottingham Forest kick on a bit more this season. Yeah, I think they will just finish around this mid-table place, but I think I can concede them getting back in playoffs maybe next season. In terms of key signs, even Horvath's an interesting one, an American goalkeeper they brought from Bruges, which is interesting considering Brice Samba, in my opinion, is a very good goalkeeper, but maybe not to be in that case. See a bit of competition for him. 13th place, the last bottom half side. Might interest you this one. I've gone for Barnsley. Obviously made playoffs last year against all odds. But again, they've lost their manager Valérien Ismaël to West Brom. Captain Alex Mowat's also gone to West Brom. 2 big losses. Also lost Connor Chaplin and Michael Solbauer. I believe they both went on freeze. I've won a good few players, Devante Cole, Josh Benson, and a few players from around, I think, the French leagues and Belgian leagues and whatever. Aaron Leia, Eseka, and Obi Uler, probably again butcher both those, but again, one to watch out for considering the philosophy Barnsley have of bringing in these young players, a bit like Brentford, and they'll hope they can be like Brentford in a few years, getting to the Premier League. One to watch is Callum Styles. I believe he'll do very well this season, been linked with a few Premier League clubs, and obviously Marcus Schopp, the new manager. Again, I think it will be a bit of a drop off for Barnsley. Quite a few people saying they will be in a relegation, but I can't see that happening. But I think they will be around the mid-table spots. In top place, first team in the top half, I've gone for Reading. Again, bit of a drop off from last season. They were in around the playoffs most of the season, but they had a poor into the season. They've lost Michael Elise and Omar Richards to Bayern Munich and Crystal Palace, which is an interesting one. And they are under no transfer embargo at the minute, so they can't sign new players unless free agents. So I can definitely see a drop off. Still got Lucas João, who I think will get a few goals, and Ovia Jaria, I think will do well in the midfield this year. Obviously, Reading have been known for, they got the playoff final a few years ago, didn't they? Lost to Huddersfield on penalties, and it's been downhill ever since then. But last season was a bit of a step up. I can see them falling off again a bit this year. In 11th place, I've gone for Stoke City. Again, I think we've got with Tyrese Campbell coming back from a knee injury. I think if he gets goals, if he gets back to his best form, I think he can definitely fire Stoke close to the playoffs. But he needs to come back and score goals. That's what needs to happen. And obviously Stoke, they've kind of been stagnating in the Championship. They've never really kicked on. I don't think they've got playoffs once since they've been back in down the division. It's always been mid-table, and I think in the first season back, they almost got relegated. So not promising for them. Michael O'Neill in charge. Now they brought in Bren Wilmot from Norwich. I think will be a good signing. Mario Vrancic from Norwich as well. I think 2 good Championship players for them. In terms of departure, though, Nathan Collins has obviously left to Burnley. Kevin Vimmer, Jordan Cousins, John Obi Mikel, and Liam Lindsay have all left as well. So quite a few players leaving, but good few players joining. I think Stoke will finish just about that mid-table. I think they could push for playoffs again if Tyrese Campbell does kick on and get a few goals if he comes back from injury. But again, that's a big if. 10th place, I've gone for maybe a surprising one, Luton Town, who can't forget were in non-league just a few years ago, and they've really had a big rise up the divisions. And again, they've brought in some good players. They've brought in Henry Lansbury, Reece Burke, Cameron Jerome, Amari Bell, Alan Campbell, Fred Onyedima, and Carlos Mendes Gomez. Especially Carlos Mendes Gomez, I think will be one to watch. Brought in from Morecambe. He had a very good season for Morecambe in League 2 last year. So he's definitely one to watch out for. Tom Lockyer, the captain, I believe he is. He will do good, but a big departure for them is James Collins, man, got all the goals. I think he's gone to Cardiff now. They've also lost George Moncur and Ryan Tunnicliffe, who I think are good players for them as well. So I think Luton, I think they've lost a good few players, but they've brought in good players as well. And I think I can definitely see them getting a top half finish. And who knows, maybe even in a few years they could become a Premier League team. I don't believe they've ever been there before. So that will be a good achievement for them, especially as I said, they're only non-league a few years ago. Moved on to 9th place. I've gone for a team that's had a bit of a drop off since last season, Swansea City. Obviously made the playoffs final last year, losing out to Brentford, but they lost so many good players. Freddie Woodman's not coming back on loan. I believe he's gone back to Newcastle. Mark Guéhi, obviously he was on loan there last year. He's now gone to Palace. And Conor Hourihane as well is a big one, who was on loan from Villa, but I don't believe he's coming back. And obviously Andre Ayew's left on a free, but he's on to the Saudi Arabia League. But again, good players. They still got Jamal Lowe, Ben Cabango, who I believe will do good this season. New manager Russell Martin. I believe they brought him in from MK Dons because obviously Liam Cooper left. Liam Cooper's not Liam Cooper, is it? One about the guy plays for Leeds. I can't remember his first name. Cooper. He's left. He's doing a few Premier League jobs. I think he was linked with the Palace job actually. But again, I think he just left of mutual consent. Don't know why. I think maybe to do with transfers. Russ Martin, I think he'll do good coming in from MK Dons. Haven't made too many transfers, Swansea coming in, but I think they will have a tiny drop off. And they won't quite make playoffs. In 8th place, I've gone for Swansea's big rivals, Cardiff City. Just missing out in the playoffs. Obviously, they got Kiefer Moore up top, who scored 1 or 2 goals for Wales at the Euros. Big target man up front here. He'll probably be up there in the Golden Boot race this year, I think. Obviously managed by Mick McCarthy now as well, which is interesting. Lots of Robert Glatzel, Sol Bamba and Joe Day. Obviously, Sol Bamba was a big player for them, and it'll be sad to see him go, considering he was quite a good player for Cardiff. Born James Collins from Luton, who is a good goal scorer in this division, so maybe he can play up front with Kiefer Moore, 2 big strikers as well, so they'll probably be used as target men next season. And I've got Cardiff just missing out in the playoffs, but the last team just missing out in the playoffs in 7th place, I've gone for Millwall. Obviously the big fans as well, and they're probably going to kill me for not putting them in the playoffs. Now I'm joking, but obviously they've got a very good team. Millwall building a very solid Championship team. Bartosz Białkowski in goal. I think he's one of the best goalkeepers in the Championship. Great player. I want to watch his Benica Fobe, who they've brought in on loan, I believe. If he can get his goal scoring form going again, he can definitely take Millwall into the playoffs. Like Scott Malone, George Saville, George Long have also come in, but Sean Williams, Shane Ferguson and James Brown have all left. So Gary Wowler managing the club, I think he's a good manager, and he can take them places. So I think just missing out on the playoffs this year, but again, want to watch more solid Championship team. They're building a very solid Championship team, as I said earlier. So I think definitely one to watch out for this season. 6th place, my first playoff team. I have gone for Middlesbrough, obviously under the management of Neil Warnock now. He's never going to stop management, is he? But key player Dale Fry at centre back, definitely a very good player. And one to watch is Marcus Tavernier, who I believe is the brother of the Rangers fullback James Tavernier. So obviously a very good player, James Tavernier, and Middlesbrough. We're hoping his brother is just as good as him, or is he brother or cousin? I don't know. They're related in some way. Semi Amiobi, though, he has been brought in. Joe Lumley as well, who I believe was at Nottingham Forest last year. I probably got that wrong. Lee Peltier has come from West Brom as well, and they're building a bit of a what's the word for the squad? They're building like a Millwall squad, basically a solid squad, a team that will get in your head. It's basically a level of Diego Costa's Middlesbrough building, basically. And the likes of Britt Assombalonga, Ashley Fletcher, George Saville, John Archer have all left the club as well. But I think Middlesbrough, under Neil Warnock, who's a great Championship manager, I think they will sneak in to the playoffs. 5th place, I've gone for QPR. A lot of people are putting these as their team to come up this season via the playoffs. And I can see why. They've got a good squad. They ended last season very well. They bought a couple of loan players who they bought in on a permanent deal. I'll read out pretty much all their transfers. They bought in Andre Dozzell, Stefan Johansson, Moses Odebajo, Charlie Austin, Geordie Devise, Sam Field, Jimmy Dunn and Sam McCallum on loan. I think there's some good signings in there. Sam McCallum on loan, Jimmy Dunn from Burnley, Geordie Devise, Charlie Austin. I think they were both there last season. Same with Stefan Johansson and Andre Dozzell as well. Will be good for them. I think he's a good signing. And Mark Warburton manager. And I think Elias Chair will do well in the midfield. He's a very good, talented player. And Charlie Austin and Lyndon Dykes front two, they'll get loads of goals, trust me. And I think QPR will definitely get playoffs this year. 4th place, I've gone for the first relegated side, Sheffield United. Haven't done much business at all. No signings. John Lundstrom and Phil Jagielka, 2 key players that have departed. I can see Phil Jagielka definitely managing Sheffield United one day. But obviously, new manager Slavisa Jukanovic. He's a good Championship manager. Obviously got Fulham promoted a few years back. And I think one to watch out for is Ryan Brewster. I think obviously he flopped in the Premier League last year, but he was very good on loan at Swansea in the Championship a few years ago. So I think he can get a few goals. And Sander Berger as well. I don't know if he's leaving or not. He hasn't left yet though, so he's still there for the minute. And the thing with Sheffield United, they've got such a balanced squad, and I think they can do well in this year in the league this year. I don't think they'll quite go up, but I can definitely see it happening. Third place, another newly promoted team. The team just missing out on the automatic promotion. I've gone for Fulham. A lot of people saying they will win the league, but I'm not so sure of it yet. Marco Silva, the new manager, because of course Scott Parker went to Bournemouth, who we'll get on to in a minute. They've got good players. It's a good squad. I can see why people think they will win the league. Andre Sambo-Anguissa is a great player. I don't know how they still have hold of him. Harry Wilson as well has been brought in, as well as Paulo Gazzaniga. Two very good signings. Harry Wilson, I believe, will tear it up, and they've got good players. Tosin Adarabioyo, Harrison Reed as well. Joe Bryan, Marek Rodak as well, who's a good Championship goalie, and now they've brought in Gazzaniga as well. But the reason I don't believe they'll go up is because they had so many good loan players last year who have now left the club. Alphonse Areola's got moved to West Ham. Joachim Anderson's got moved to Crystal Palace. Adama Lookman was very good for them last year. Josh Magic got a few goals, and I believe he would be a goal machine in the Championship this year. And Ola Aina as well has all left after being on loan last year. And I think Mitrovic, I don't know, he had a poor season last year, so can he get bounced back this year? We'll have to wait and see, but I'm not 100% sure. So in second place, the first automatically promoted team, I've gone for West Brom, bouncing straight back to the Premier League. Obviously, new manager brought in Valérien Ismaël from Barnsley. Obviously, Sam Allardyce did leave, and one to watch is definitely Alex Mowat, who was a Barnsley captain last year. He's coming into the team, and I think he's coming to replace Matheus Pereira, who recently just said a couple of days ago they did want to leave, and he is going to leave, which is not good for West Brom. He would be a very good player in the Championship. He would tear it up. But I think Alex Mowat can easily replace him. I think he's a very good player. I rate him very highly. And he can definitely get a few goals, assists, and he can be a very key player for West Brom. They still got Sam Johnson as well, who's obviously in the England squad. So you've got to be doing something right there to be in the Championship and still be in the England squad. So brought in Adam Reach, Alex Mowat, and Matt Clark on loan. So my first place, winning the Championship, I have gone for Bournemouth. Bit of an interesting choice, I know. But Scott Parker, great manager, really do rate him. Got promoted with Bournemouth, not Bournemouth, Fulham. He'll be hoping he can get promoted with Bournemouth, but got promoted with Fulham a few years ago. Only last year actually, though, wasn't it? In 2020, he got promoted with them. And I think they've just got a great squad. Dominic Solanke, Philip Billing, David Brooks. Well, if David Brooks can say injury free, he'll be the best player in the Championship. Trust me. Brought in Emi Marcondes as well from Brentford on a free transfer. I think he'll be a good signing. Lots of likes of Diego Rico, Asmir Begovic, who was their number one last year as well, which will be a bit of a loss. But I think Mark Travers can come in and replace him very well. And Jack Wilshere's obviously been lost as well, who was quite good for them last year. And obviously potential Arnaud and Juma leaving. If they do manage to keep hold of him, again, another great bit of business, but I can see him leaving him links to the likes of Villarreal. I think I even saw him link with Liverpool this morning, so there you go. But yeah, that's going to do it for my Championship predictions for this year. First Bournemouth, second West Brom. Who do you think's going up? Who do you think's going down? Sorry if this was a bit long, but I wanted to give every club, a bit of analysis and why I think I place him there. But yeah, thank you for watching today, guys. Make sure you like if you did enjoy. I said that if the comments are unable, let me know who's finishing where, who's going up, who's going down. And the Premier League predictions will be out next week. So you definitely don't want to miss that one. So subscribe and turn on the bell if you haven't already. Again, we're trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year. We're only 16 away, so we can definitely do it. So if you can help out, that would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, thank you for watching today, guys, and I will see you soon. I got a premonition, I'm dreaming you and I. All my darkest fears are coming outside. We got a billion races, we got this melody, and you can trust me, baby.